And welcome once again, SRL fans, to another night of Monday football. We're here to watch the Raiders versus the Cronulla Sharks. This is not the Ashes, this is the Bashers. I am AMAC in the box, and joining me tonight is Dom Young. Dom, how awesome is it here to be Shark Park?
Yeah, it's very electric. Both sides of the fans are here. It's about a 50-50 attendance tonight, as it's a ninth versus 10th clash here. Whoever loses, pretty much their chances of making the finals are down to very slim chance. As well as whoever wins tonight, they're pushing closer to the finals, potentially even getting a top eight. Um, Due to all the results that might happen, could go in their favor, could not go in their favor. As it's a pretty good clash. I like the clash of the fullbacks. I like the clash of Will Kay versus Tim James as well. So it's a really exciting game here.
As you said, both of these teams, they are currently sitting at a 6-6 record, 50-50 for the season here in round 13. A win tonight will propel one of these teams into a positive game percentage heading into that representative break at the end of this round. Dom, which team do you think is going to have the muscle to win it over tonight?
I've got a bit different here. I've actually gone with the Raiders 1-8. I think they're just a really strong group, and I think that they would want to win more. I think their chemistry is a lot higher than the Sharks team. A lot of players are new and learning a new system. So I've got the Raiders to win 1-8 today. How about you? What do you think?
Yep. I'm the same. I've got the Raiders to win 9-18, but that's purely for selfish reasons. It's so that my Eels boys, in case we've gone down against the Storm in our previous game tonight, the Raiders are the only team at the moment who can knock us out of the top eight, which is incredibly crazy, Dom, considering how close this 1 to almost 14 is. It's been so good this season to see how close this ladder is.
Exactly right. And a win could propel you, and a loss could really drop you down. Going from finals to now, and there's been so many changes at the top, as well as said we'll run it up to around the 25.
So we've got Flynn and Flynn
Oh,
linking up. Ooh, and already I said it in jest that we've got the Bashers out here tonight, and it looks like the Sharkies have turned up to do just that. Barnes pushes up to the 40, and we're coming across to Flinny Boy, floating it up down for a good center kick. We've had a attacking set from both of these teams tonight so far. Dom, what have you liked so far, and what do these two teams need to do to get across by the end of the night?
so far I've really liked the energy from the Sharks. I think they're really bringing it out in the first minutes or so, as Macquarie will push just under the 40 meter line. I really like the energy. They're playing with their heart. They're playing with a lot of their soul as well. So if they keep it up for the full 80, I think they'll be a tough team to beat tonight.
As Harris is planted on the 30. The Sharks, they're definitely winning this field position battle if it wasn't for some questionable play the ball speed there for Will Kay, who picks up and is buried 25 meters out. So the last couple of weeks have been a little bit crazy in terms of errors for the Sharks. Some of them have lost them games, and, well,
Like
unfortunately, the
that.
discipline. The Sharks are going to need to do something about their discipline tonight, Dom.
Yeah, sometimes you can have a little bit too much hype, much arousal before a game. It can hype you up too much, and of course, you can make mistakes like that due to it. So if they keep a good amount of um, hypeness around them, they can really win the game, and they can win the game pretty strongly. They can propel themselves again closer with that for and against margin, especially this late into the season when you're going to need it.
Now, the Raiders, as they're pushing deep into the Sharks' half, they've only made a slight change this week. They've swapped around. Uh, they swapped around. Oh, I should say, a couple of boys in the forward pack. They look like they've changed after they've lost last week in that unfortunate upset. They are aiming for some strength up the middle, which is going to be vital for them because this Shark forward pack, Dom, it has definitely got the bruises on.
Yeah, exactly right. With players like Overlequa and especially FPA, and even like Macquarie as well at that lock spot as Virginia will push forward here. They're really, really strong and they're really tough to get past them. They're a pretty solid group, and even the backs, even like the fullbacks, trying to get past them. They're quick forwards. They're strong forwards. So the Raiders forwards need to.
That was
Raiders
a
forwards need to
Jimmy.
be on there. Sorry, the Raiders forwards need to be on their A game tonight, Mac.
Yeah, a bit of a Jimmy Lopez special there, unfortunately. He saw some real rushing defense there, and the ball kind of came off the side of his foot. Thankfully, Juju Maiava was able to clean it up, and the Sharks weren't troubled too badly. The Raiders, they look like they are keeping things together so far tonight, but they need to capitalize on some of those errors to get across over John Boy's team. As Lucas said, up to the 40. We're coming across now. Lovely long ball that
Oh,
just goes so very wrong. And just as we say that the Raiders need to keep the ball in their hands, it looks like the other side is coughing up a bit of an error now, Dom.
yeah, I think the Raiders have been struggling to get to their attacking half here. I think besides the penalty that the Cronulla gave up, they've been really struggling in an offensive sense. As Will Kay from dummy half, it's actually a
Wow.
smart play, I would say, Amac.
Yeah, it's definitely a play. It's definitely a call, and it's probably good considering Cronulla. They struggle early to get points on the ball, so if they can get points on the ball early tonight and keep that lead going, that's probably going to work well by the back end of the night. On the other hand, though, they had the Raiders on the back foot there, Dom. So you would think that John Boy might have gone for the jugular instead of the safe bet there.
I think so. For the Raiders, I think that was a pretty good play there. It stops them from. It gives them an opportunity that if they score, they'll be in front. Um, with the Cronulla only going for the conversion, the penalty conversion, pretty early into the game. I like for Cronulla to be a little bit more expansive with the footy. They could really, really could have used a try there. Oh, as Lucas said, uh, strips the ball in an actual legal strip.
And we have seen these stripped balls come into play extensively over the last couple of weeks as Flynn dances around one and
Oh,
there is nothing between him. So happy, in fact, that he just launches that ball up into the stratosphere. And, well, the Raiders, from what was some interesting errors up the other end of the field, have already hit back and they're about to make it a 4-point game, Dom.
yeah, it looked pretty easy there for Riley Flynn. He's very experienced. He's been a fullback for however long now, especially in 1.0. So he reads the game like a book in and out. And the Cronulla Sharks defense, they as Barnes converts it, the Sharks defense rushed up on him, and I think they were a little bit out of sorts there. They weren't really composed enough, and um, giving a try to Riley Flynn early into the game.
Now, unfortunately, again, that's a little bit blip of the radar there. It's if John Boy was having his back again, I imagine he's probably wanting to score up the other end instead of those 2 points. But it's early games yet, early days, as one former commissioner would very rightly say, and we are kicking off again by one more, as we've got some very interesting positional play there from a Raider, well back behind Shark lines there as we come back and we up with
Oh,
Ether. Oh, Dom, run us through exactly what's just happened there.
yeah, right. Oh, as a little bit of football action, soccer action being played there. I'm watching a bit of the Socceroos as oh, it's too easy from Poesi Afoa Aili'i right near the conversion, so it's a pretty good conversion, and the Raiders lose the ball pretty easily, given the Sharks took an early try. It's back and forth, AMAC, and I'm liking this. A lot of
Yeah.
action being played already.
Well, for those of you who were watching last week, we had our record-breaking matchup between the Tigers and the Dolphins last week, which smashed records for teams playing. It smashed records for a single team playing in one game with the Tigers there. We might be on track for another record-breaking game if both of these teams keep scoring like they are, Dom.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's been pretty much quick fire for both teams. They're just basically telling each other what you can do, I can do better, but repetitive the last 5 sets. So It's been pretty entertaining for us watching and our viewers, and I think the fans are getting every single bit of their money, their worth of their money here tonight. So stay tuned. There's still 26 minutes of the first half left, and it's 8-6. So strap yourselves in. It's going to be another great 26 minutes of good footy played.
As Matty Harris runs it up, and he stays as far away from Lucasette as he could possibly can, because that man, he knows how to strip. Sinclair pushes his back 15 minutes
Ooh.
out, second tackle. We come across wide. Harris again runs it up, but he is locked down tight by some strong Raiders defense. They keep going that way. Lopez linking up with Macquarie. Macquarie pushing. Oh, they're struggling to get out of their red zone here. That almost pulled a penalty there, but they keep on pushing. Oisiafo pushes up over the 30, and the Sharks, they get 31 meters. So that is some decent defense there from the Raiders. The Sharks, they're going to have a good kick chase here, or the Raiders are going to start getting back up on the board there, Dom.
Yeah, exactly right. And I really like the energy in the first 10 minutes of the game, and Mac, and they just couldn't get many meters there. It's giving a kick, and it's an achievable kick to Riley Flynn there. And Mac, the next 20 minutes, with the new subs coming on, how do you see this game going? In what favor, and what do you think will happen?
Well, I think it's going to be very tricky because the Sharks, they've got two of the strongest 14s and 15s in the comp at the moment. We've got Lonnie Lawrence and Kai Madden coming on. We've got some speed and some muscle coming on. On the other hand, well, when we're talking about the Raiders, we've got Barker Barge and Barry Barge. CM Barker and Barry Barge, the BB boys, who will be on. So we might have still some hell bruising straight up the middle. It might slow down a bit, and in the end, I don't mind a little bit of a Bash Brothers action up in the middle, Dom, because there we
Oh,
go. Sorts out the
just like
boys and
that.
Tim James, 5 minutes out. If the Raiders go over here, I am going to be incredibly excited, Dom.
Exactly right. I think they've got opportunities. Godwin, I don't think he's got there, but you know what? It's better to be safe than sorry. Um, and no, he's driven on his back there. Yeah, exactly right. They're just feeding each other points off their own errors. I think for both sides here. If especially if the Raiders can score here, as Tim James will give it off to Navisi Barnes, the Flynn off. I thought he was for all money there, Mac.
Well, going down the blind, don't hold out just yet, as Tenavisi Barnes is held up. Third tackle, they come across. Flynn linking up with Said, and
Oh,
forward pass. Oh, the Sharks, they have been let off something fierce just then. They need to do something quick because the Raiders, they are not going to die trying here, Dom.
yeah, exactly right. Might even see some rugby union action here and kick on the first tackle because you can't afford to give up a strip this close to a try line. Almost resulted in points as a very late pass to Poesi there. Almost drops the ball right in front of the try. And I see how I said before they're not really getting their attacking set last 20 the last 10 minutes I'd say. I think a lot of their energy's been burnt out already. And it's fifth tackle, they're kicking on their 40. I think they need to really try and push closer to their try line, have an attacking kick here because one drop ball and the Raiders they're probably going to be closer to the try line than anyone can imagine.
Yep, the Raiders, they're going to be the first to savor some of those fresh legs on the field, as a lovely pass there to Arnworth to make a good 5 meters post-contact offload there. 19 minutes left in the half. Second tackle. They keep going left. Barnes links up with Eads. Dances through the line, but is pulled down desperately by a Shark defender. Third tackle. They're about to get across that line. Barnes, lovely pass to Barge. Barge, the redhead, pushing and pushing. Post-contact meters for all money here for the Raiders. Fourth tackle. They might not get an attacking kick in here. They're definitely not going to get an attacking kick in here. 37 meters gain. The Sharks are turning up in defense, and well, it looks like the points have dried up a little bit, and we are in the arm wrestle passage of the second quarter here, Dom.
Yeah, it was pretty much the most likely option. A lot of these teams they're going to play a lot more conservative. They saw how the absolute hell that both teams went through for 10 minutes with the try scoring fest, and as Matty Harris will get driven back here. It's very much a smart play from both teams. They don't want to drain the energy and then play the second half completely drained out. So as Travis Whittaker gets driven back. So both captains here, they're going for a little bit of an arm wrestle here.
As Juju Mayava does not choose to go for the 20-40 option, just hitting it up to get to the 30. 23 meters gained there for the Sharkies, and well, at
lucky.
least the Sharks came up with it, because that would have been a certain try if they'd got their hands on it there. But starting 20 meters out, Irby Arnworth taking the first little dart. The Raiders, they need to score here, or they will probably be a little bit demoralised, Dom.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think the Raiders going to stop with a little bit of the dummy half plays. They're getting closer to the try line though, but as Flynn goes off to severe. Oh, does he get there?
Ooh, so
Oh,
close.
that's close. Oh,
And
yeah,
there we
that's a
go.
great try.
Godwin's
Godwin.
over. You can tick the number 7 off your bingo card, SRL betters. And, well, it's a bit of a yo-yo tonight, Dom, and I am here for it.
Yeah, exactly right. And there's a lot of action being played. It's very much a great experience for everyone watching right now, and very much a back and forth game, I'd say. Just for the people who might have missed what's been happening, the Sharks started the game off with a penalty conversion as that's not a great conversion there, Mac.
Oh. Oh,
You
as
know
you were
what?
saying,
In a
Dom.
game like this, that might call up and bite them at the end of the game. For people that might have missed it, Cronulla started the game off with a penalty conversion kick. But it was 2-0 at around the 30th minute, 29th minute. The Raiders forced an error off from a kickoff, scored. It was 6-2. And the Sharks went the other way, forced an error, became 8-6. And then the Raiders just scored, making it 10-8 with a missed conversion. So it's a very much a back and forth game. There's been 4 lead changes so far. And we're only 15 minutes away from the second half starting.
Yeah, so anything can happen, as we already know in SRL. And, well, again, lovely offloading here from the Raiders as Tim James gets up just over the 30. Saves a little bit of meterage there. Flynn links up with Barge. Barge pushed back over the 30. The Sharks, they were not happy about what happened there, limiting the Raiders to 19 meters. They're going to need a good kick here, and following that, a good kick chase. Our scoring individual, number 7, Godwin, kicks it on down, and Harris is met with a strong line of defense. Harris, he's been wrapped up pretty well so far tonight, Dom.
Yeah, he's been defended pretty well. I think in the game plan, he must have been one of the main targets to focus on. He's such a deadly player in this league, and as Werman gives the ball off that's again a pretty smart play.
Oh, well, this is a bit of
First net
a...
of 6.
Yeah, it's a comedy of errors there, unfortunately, for the Raiders. We'll keep going as Riley Sr. pushes on up. What is the importance of Harris to this this Sharks attacking pack here, Dom?
Matty Harris, I won't say he is the absolute motor of this team, but he is such a backbone to the Sharks team. He really connects the players. He really starts some plays going. As joined by Mayava, almost gets through some space. I really like what Matty Harris brings to this Sharks team, and there was a lot of rumors speculating whether he'll stay or whether he'll go. I'm not a Stranger Things reference, but um, a lot of people, a lot of Sharks fans didn't want him to go, and he ends up staying. I think that's a right call from John Boy. I think he should stay, as he's really pivotal for this Sharks team. He elevates their attack, and especially in the defense as well.
As Godwin just takes a lateral hit up, gets 15 meters out, second tackle. The Raiders, they need to win a little bit more field position here, because the Sharks, they are experts at turning the screws. Barker, forced down. Here comes another one. Irby Arnworth. He gets slightly over the 20. They might go for a kick, but it doesn't look like they're shaping up that way. Takes a while for Irby Arnworth to get up. They choose to run it. Flinney just takes a settler, which is not the right move. The Raiders, 19 meters gained. It looks like they're lacking a little bit for options here, Dom.
Yeah, I think they really need halftime to happen really soon, and I don't think they want to really concede. As Matty Harris has a huge run, they want to get him going before halftime because he'll carry that on for the rest of the game. The Raiders, I think they really need halftime to happen. They need some energy. They need some really good game plan and communication going because that last set was probably probably the worst set of their half. And the Sharks, they're creeping closer to their try line. It's gets driven back here.
Senior playing the ball on the 30 for his fourth. They go blindside raid.
Oh,
Awkwardly, that's another horror option there for the Raiders as they take an intercept and are immediately shuffled over the sideline. It's these little percentage plays that, well, some footy god out there is smiling down on John Boy's Sharks, and with 8 minutes left in this half, the Raiders, they might be hard pressed to keep the Sharks out here, Dom.
yeah, exactly right. They've got to be on their absolute best goal line defense, and people may not understand how pivotal this defense needs to be. If they lose this game, they might not be playing finals footy. And it's situations like this that they need to stop. They need to contain the Sharks. As Lopez driven on his back, he'll play the ball. Okay, decides he'll go himself. A little bit of Harry Grant action, and he'll get there.
Well, exactly it. The markers, they went napping. They looked exactly where the ball was going, and, well, Barnes, yeah, it just wasn't happening there for the Raiders, unfortunately. So the Sharks, the lead, it's yo-yoed once more, and, well, with the missed kick up the other end, instead of a 2-point lead, it's about to be a 4-point lead, Dom.
Yeah, it's already the fifth change of this game. Actually been more lead changes in this game than certain basketball games. So, very, very good back and forth game as Will K slots the conversion. It could have been about a 14-12 game here. Canberra really need to get going here. They didn't want to. They shouldn't have considered a try this late on in the half, and they really need to end this half on a high. Canberra and Cronulla need to ride this out. They need to go 6 minutes, rather scoring a try or not letting Canberra come close because Canberra, their attack's pretty solid, especially when it comes to near that try line. It's very effective and they score a lot of tries like that.
As 6 minutes left, Harris plays the ball awkwardly.
Oh,
Awkward pass. Well, the Sharks, they are inviting terror here right now for their fans as Sinclair plays it on the 20. Lopez links up with Harris again. Harris pushing. He is going to get a break in about 5 minutes, rotate over to the halfway wing period as John Boy there will probably rotate into the backs once more. And, well, speaking of men who have been kept fairly quiet tonight, John Boy, he's only really touched the ball once or twice. He is definitely going to want more of an impact in the second half, Dom.
yeah, I think so. I think when John Boy talks to his boys, I think he'll definitely be taking his boots as well there. As Tenevisi Barnes. Oh, just gonna say I could tap. I thought he was again through for all money. He's been very close tonight. The opposite winger of John Boy and John Boy. He had the ball a couple of minutes ago. He had that good run, and I thought he really pushed the Sharks closer to the try line. They went on to score. They forced the error and they went on to score in that set. So if he touches the ball more, I think he'll really help the Sharks win this game.
As Flynn gets up over the 30 for his fourth. A good push here, and they can put an attacking kick in as Nicholas Ether does just that and gets slightly into the red zone. They put a kick in here. They might not, or they're throwing the ball around. Flynn just takes a runner. That's probably not a bad idea there for the Raiders. No kick, but it forces the Sharks to play their ball in their 20, and if the Sharks lose the ball again, or the Raiders can force an error, they might be able to get over once more before the halftime break, Dom.
Yeah, exactly right. And they've already forced a few errors from down here, as that's not an error that you want to give up their penalty to the Sharks. Now, the Sharks, if they could push this lead from 4 to 10, that'd be another huge gap that could lead on to the rest of the game. That's another thing that the Raiders might look at and question that penalty again and that misconversion. A lot of these little percenters could really end their season. Hey, Mac.
Yep. As K forces his way up to the 40. Sinclair, lovely pass out the back to Juju as Werman forces his way up almost to the 30, third tackle. 1.5 minutes left to go. Blindside for John Boyd. John Boyd, 25 meters out, fourth tackle. One slight push in the Raiders. They will be defending an attacking kick against them. Uvalakawa back on the field, up over the 20, and now the final touch of the game for the first half here for the Sharks. Juju puts a grubber in, but it comes up with Godwin. The chasers weren't there. They were able to make a tackle, and unless there is something fanatically horrible here against the Raiders once more, that'll feed us into the halftime break, Dom.
Exactly right, and I don't think they should be expansive this late into the game. Almost not going to offend from set. He's probably one of the strongest players in the league, as Armworth plays it nice and conservative, and that'll do the first half for us, ladies and gentlemen. 5 lead changes, 14-10.
And we are back as dusk settles over Shark Park. The points at the moment, the Sharks 14, Canberra Raiders 10. And boy, has it been a yo-yo affair tonight so far, Dom Young.
Yeah, exactly right. There's already been 5 lead changes already in this game. As just some individual brilliance here. Want to shout out Lachlan Sinclair with 111 running meters in that first half, as well as Matty Harris had 111 running meters in that first half. Nathan Macquarie from the Sharks, number 13, had 12 tackles, 0 missed. Tim James from the Canberra Raiders, number 9, 18 tackles, 0 missed. And just some team discussion here. The Raiders came back. They had 8 errors in that first half. That's a lot, especially for a team that's trying to make a finals push. How would you change how they played in that first half to counter that 8 errors in the first half with this second half performance?
Yeah, 8 errors is definitely not what you want tallied up, particularly if it's twice as many errors as your opposition team. What's at least a little bit heartening for Riley Flynn and his boys is that a lot of those errors were kind of unforced on them. It was coming off intercepts that they were baited into and then shepherded over the sideline. So if the Raiders can be a little bit more savvy in how they turn over the ball and force the Sharks to turn over the ball, Dom, they are in for a much better second half, I would feel.
Yeah, exactly right. I feel like the Homeboys Sharks, they really baited the Raiders into falling for a lot of their traps, and it worked in their favor as Tenevisi Barnes will have a barging run moving back there. I think the Raiders need to play a bit of their game. I think they were just countering a lot of what the Sharks threw at them, and then in their attacking, they hadn't really nothing. I would like to see them throw it out the wide to their backs, to their wings, to their centers, to their second rowers a lot more, as Barnes will push himself a little bit closer to halfway as Flynn gets driven back there.
Yeah, the Raiders, they're struggling to make meters here. And in fact, well, we kind of saw this in the beginning of the first half where the Sharks came out and muscled the Raiders over. And it wasn't until we started to see some of those errors that we saw the points starting to flow. As speaking of flowing, here comes Mayava, who gets 45 meters out and is buried here on the ball. So the question is, which team will be first to crumble? With 4 points in it, this is still anyone's game, Dom. And, well, the question is, where do the points come from next?
Well, both teams have really scored a lot of their points through each other's mistakes, each other's errors, and have just pounced on them and then made the errors go into their favor. I think that the next points will probably be forced off another error. And a lot of these boys, they've been communicating, that have been altering. A lot of changes have been made. A 6 again call in the Sharks' favor as Vulakawa gets closer to the try line there. It's first.
Here we go, the Sharks. Lovely long ball out to Whitaker, who forces his way over. And the
Oh,
Sharks, they're the first to hit back after the second half. And, well, again, it was just from some silly Raiders play. 6 again on the fifth tackle. And if ever there was a coach killer, Dom, that's the one that kills them.
exactly right. And especially right underneath the post, it's really one of the easiest conversions you ever take. There's always a slight chance that you miss, but the Sharks, they're pushing closer here. It is potentially a 10-point lead as Will Kay slots it in, and the Raiders went from 1 try in it to now have been 2 tries in it here, and probably seeing their finals chances slim away due to their own errors they made.
Yeah, looking at the ladder, you probably want to slide into round 15 with or the end of round 15 with an 8, at the very least with an 8 and 7 win rotation. This is not ideal for the Raiders, but we've got 30 minutes, and both of these teams can show that they pour the points on quick. Having said that, Dom, I am not liking my chances for my Raiders 9-18 at the moment, as the Sharks, Vuvilakawa pushes up to the 20, comes down, second tackle. Markers weirdly out of line there as K pushes up over the 30. The Sharks, they are working into their attacking game right now, and the Raiders, they are struggling to contain them. We come left. Lopez, lovely ball to Harris on the sideline, who pushes up to the 40. We're going to have a kick here from the looks of things, a bit of a 40-20 attempt, as we shove it on back to Lopez, who manages to thread the needle. There was a little bit of a blocker stuck in front of him. Flynn gets around, and it's not a bad return. So we might start seeing some of issues cropping up here for the Sharks. And well, as we saw in the first half, the Sharks, they can't afford to start making those errors, Dom.
Yeah, exactly right. And the Raiders going to come into this set pouncing on those Sharks errors. The Sharks, they had a very slow attack there. I think their ruck speed could very much be improved. I'd like to see Will Kay get a little bit more involved there, maybe have a better kick. The 40-20 wasn't a bad idea, but the Raiders really need to pounce. Like they're on the 30, AMAC. It's the fifth tackle, and they're on their 30. It's probably the best chance they've had in a long time. I'm talking maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes ago, in this game. And actually, I have a question. And Mac, is there a particular player that you could see really benefiting from another team that could really benefit the Sharks, or like a build, or like an archetype that you could really help either team?
Well, at the moment, I think what the Sharks are missing, as they get absolutely walloped there, and it's one of those underrated positions, is they need to really sort out their edges and their centers, because you know those teams out there who leak points up their edges, and you need a good center in either that number 3 or that number 4 to stop those tackles up the sideline. Because if those wingers get purchased down those edges, that just really helps attacking sets and making sure you win that field battle there, Dom.
Yeah, exactly right. I was also thinking they could use a little bit of a more confident half. I think someone like Jet Davis, who's been carving up for the Broncos, as Riff has been driven out. Some excellent defense there from the Sharks. As I believe that was Guga Mayava with the tackle there. I don't know who the other person was in that tackle, but I do agree. I do agree with the edges there. I think that they're definitely the edge spot, and I'm also thinking a half spot for the Sharks, especially next season. The period where you sign players, and I think the Raiders could use a little bit of a stronger forward. I'm looking at maybe someone like Tulavaru, Fakateni, as someone that they could try and maybe offer him a starting spot. Um, Someone like that off the, or even off the bench, just something a little bit stronger, just to push them further away from their try line, closer to scoring by Zamac.
As Sevilla on the wing is forced hurriedly back. And that was Lachlan Sinclair, the number 11, over on that edge. And that just shows the power of a strong edge pairing over on those sides. If they can lock up that defensively and force over the sideline. The Sharks, they didn't really do much with that attacking set they were gifted. But, well, the Raiders, they're still stuck in their half here as Caval plays it 35 metres out. Instead, links up with Arnworth. Arnworth pushes over. This is a chance for the Raiders to boot their way out of trouble here, but they run it instead through a Connell who is forced back. So the Raiders, they've been giving a little bit of opportunity, but they just aren't really making the right choices here and there, Dom. And, well, with 25 minutes left, they need to start capitalizing on some of this with 10 points difference. That might be enough to get the Sharks the win in 24 and a half minutes.
Exactly right, and it's very unlikely that you ever score 2 tries in 10 minutes. They can't rely on that towards the last 10 minutes of the game where it's all fires, guns blaring, and they're trying to score 12 points in 10 minutes. They've got to start scoring tries from now. And as Vilakawa, he's been terrorizing the defense all afternoon. They've got to try and force errors and try and um, answer them, and then really get closer to their try line. They're really struggling here, the Raiders. And it's not looking good for my bet either. I did Raiders 1-8, so hopefully they score some points very soon.
As Sevilla plays it there on the 20-meter mark. We're saying it's the Raiders, they're struggling to get out of their own half. The Sharks, they struggled to get into the Raiders' half there. So this to and fro arm wrestle, it is not very good for either of these teams. Having said that, though, both teams came out on the field very fresh. The amount of stoppages in the first half, fitness was very high looking at those boys walking into the shed, Dom.
Yeah, exactly right. I think the stoppages played in both teams' favors. Although the 8 errors really costed the Raiders some points there, I think just getting that energy, they really should be applying it here. I think they're still preserving it. I think they're going to go all guns blaring, run and gun type of. Oh, that's not what you want to do. As Poesia for Ali just pounces on the ball, and at the Sharks score here, it's well and truly in the danger zone here, the Raiders.
As Whitaker almost fumbles but recollects and gets up over the 20 for a second. Looks like they're lining up to come wide. Ugu Poisi forces himself 10 meters out, third tackle. The Raiders, they need to hold them out here. Juju lining up with Cummins, force back. Good tackle there, slowing down that play the ball. Fourth tackle, we come wide again. Juju lining up with John Boy. Here comes Lopez. Lopez is pushing, and it's just short, very short. Fifth tackle, and K wastes it. The Raiders, their goal line defense was phenomenal. They need to do something more here, though, because they're fighting out of their own 10-meter line, Dom.
Yeah, I'm actually not too upset with what Will K does there, but that's not what you want to do there. The Sharks inviting the Raiders back into the game. If they had a great set there, man, really could have got the ball back and repeated what they did in the previous set. And they get fresh tackles to use. Their subs are coming on, so they got fresh legs, and they've got 20 minutes or 2 tries, keep their final chances afloat.
Oh, and Declan Connell takes the first lovely run. A little bit of a miscommunication there with the Sharks defenders as we got Raiders flying in and out all over the place. And Martin is pushing up 35 meters out already. Third tackle. They've got 2 left to get into a good kicking position here. Tim James gets about 5 meters. Not as many as he probably would have wanted. Definitely not as many as they would have wanted, as Flynn just shy of the 20 there. 48 meters gained, which isn't to be sniffed at. And a good kick here. No, they're running the ball again. Knock on, no advantage. Although, well, we have a captain's challenge here. I'm not exactly sure exactly what they are challenging.
They call it for shin, maybe. I don't know what they're challenging. They're playing, he kicked it. I've got no clue.
The challenge is successful. Player will resume with
Captain's challenge successful.
He must have came off his kneecap, I believe.
And fifth tackle again. So, the Raiders, it looks like they've stolen an extra tackle in that set, and they don't do anything with it. So, well, the Sharks, they could have been screwed over. They weren't. Everything's settled. 17 minutes left on the clock. Again, time is slowly running out. Dom, who do the Raiders need to get it to make sure they can at least get one more and stay in the game here?
I think someone who's been definitely preserving his energy. Finally, Flynn, the captain. I think he needs to be a little bit more aggressive with the ball here. He's being very much passive, and he's letting the ball come to him. I think in his last 16 minutes, he's got to demand the ball and needs the ball in his hands. Also got to look at someone like War, someone like said really need to. They've been very good defensively, but in that attacking sense, they've brought not really much at all. It's Tim James, great dummy half run there.
Second tackle, they're only just getting into the 50-meter here. Pirouetting through the line as Riley Flynn gets up over the 40. They are now making the meters they need to make. Hopefully it's not too late for them as the other Flynn forces his way up to the 30. Fourth tackle, that's not what they needed. They need many more meters gained here as Barnes does just that. Comes down on the 20. They need to put a kick in here. They can't afford to flub a kick as Godwin puts it up and puts it high, puts it deep. Griff comes down with it. a good end to the set there, and with 15 minutes left, they've got to force an error here, Dom.
And there it is. There's the error. They score straight away. They can't. Driven on his back, Martin. He'll play it actually. Oh, he was a centimeters away from the try line there. They've got short.
Keep up. 5 meters out, second tackle. They can't waste it. They need to do something here as Eads is held up. Third tackle. They throw it again. Said, forcing and forcing and forcing.
Oh,
and he's
brilliant.
over. Well, when they wanted him to stand up, they needed him to stand up, and their prize number 8, Lucas said, does exactly that. And by golly geez, Dom Young, we've got a ball game going.
Yeah, he's just muscled his defender there, and he put some pivotal points on the Raiders. I think that's the first points being scored since the 20th minute in the first half. That's a huge scoring drought. Finally ended, as Ben would now like to confirm the try with an extra 2 points. They've taken the kicking off Mitch Barnes, who I believe has been taken off just shortly before, and he'll kick it perfectly. We've got ourselves a game, man, Mac. It's do or die for both teams. 13 minutes. Do the Sharks hold on, or do the Raiders steal the win at the death?
Well, with 13 minutes left to go, there is definitely time for the Raiders to come across and cinch it. Hopefully, for their sake, though, they're not going to be relying on the 2 points that they missed. Those 2 points that John Boy scored, ordered to be scored at the very beginning of this game, may come in clutch. Stay tuned as Tim James forces his way over the 20. First tackle is Riley Flynn, darts out and wastes something. We need to get some metal out there for the boys and tell them to stop doing that from dummy half. Obi Armworth hits the line and forces his way. 25 meters out, third tackle. Tim James again, back a lovely ball out to Trent Martin, who palms off one and wastes again. The Sharks, they were not happy again with how that went, and this is kind of what the Sharks do. They cough up points, and yet they turn up in defense for the following set. Fifth tackle, only 23 meters gained. Good things so far from the Sharks. They need to do more than just defend this lead, though. They need to attack here. And John Boy, straight up through the guts. 40. He's chased there by Flynn. That's exactly the run that they needed, Dom.
Yeah, that'll definitely be one of the best runs he's had tonight. Maybe might be the best run he's had tonight. Stopping with Matty Harris at halftime. Really, really great stuff there from the captain, John Boy. And if they could score here, it'll really, really help their chances of winning this game. And it also helps their finals chances, as King will come closer to the try line here. Lopez. Oh, Matty Harrell! What a try saver that was. That was
Oh, my goodness. That was the heart-stopping stuff as Harris is brought down inches in it. The grubber goes in. Lucas said saves the ball from a certain crossover try. And we're in our final 10 minutes here, Dom. The Raiders, they are fighting out of their 10-meter lines. And Riley Flynn grabs the ball and gets at least up to the 15. Second tackle. Very slow play the ball there from the number 1. Weird pass out to Irby Armworth to get him up basically exactly to the advantage line. So, we keep pushing as Riley Flynn gives it on to, Nathan Flynn on to Riley Flynn, fourth tackle. The Raiders, they're trying desperately to get out of their red zone here, as Sevilla is forced over the sideline.
That's a coach killer.
Well, this is the chance that the Sharks need. If they can get across here, if they can score at this set, you can almost write the rest of the Raiders off for tonight. So stay tuned as we keep calling. Sinclair back on the inside. Comes down 8 meters out. The Sharks, lovely passing out. Lopez. John Boy dances through and he is over. Well,
there's some brilliant stuff there from John Boy. And like, if you actually have a look at that, once again, the Raiders defense shuffling, but as they're shuffling across to that left side, they rush the player with the ball, I don't know who passed the ball there to John Boy, but they rushed him, giving John Boy plenty of space, plenty of opportunity to score there. A little bit of just that little bit of composure needed there. Probably could have kept the Sharks off as well. Okay, they slotted. Oh, it's perfect.
And, well, that's now a 10-point game. It's going to have to be 2 tries in 7 minutes. And, Dom, as electric as these Raiders can be sometimes, I don't know if they've got it in them.
Yeah, they've snatched at death late against my Titans a couple of weeks ago, and I feel like they're just short. They're just short, and never say never attitude in the SRL. You always have that attitude, but did they lose or did they just run out of time? I cannot answer that question as of yet, but it's just a little bit big fend off there, a little bit disappointing. And there for the Raiders, I thought that for all money they could have snatched it off the Sharks there late in the death and gonna work out.
As Lopez, lovely ball out to John Boy, and he's forced back, 4th tackle. 6 minutes, or just under 6 minutes left to go. And, well, as we're winding down the last couple of minutes of this game, we should probably look forward to what these teams are going to be doing post representative break. The Sharks, well, with this win, with an asterisk next to it, of course, this will probably propel them up into the top 8 on 14 points with a very healthy, as Lucas said, that's a lovely run from the prop. Never say never. 2nd tackle, I'll come back to this line of thought later, as Tim James wastes a bloody tackle and darts out of dummy half there for his 3rd. We lose another one with Riley Flynn. Okay, yeah, no, nothing's happening here. Yeah, here we go. Irby Armworth forcing his way 23 meters or so. That was such a promising set there for the Raiders until it wasn't really. And not really doing much there. It's kind of summarizes what the Raiders were doing tonight, Dom.
Yeah, they just narrowly close at it. Such a huge run from Lucas said, and couple dummy half runs really ruined their momentum. A 6 again call. Really going Apprentice way. They can eat up the clock. And AMAC, you would like to continue with game after the representative round and the break.
Yeah, although I will say that was the shortest 6 again call I've ever seen in my history of SRL sports. So the Sharks, they'll launch themselves up into the top 8, and they would definitely enjoy that because they've got some very tough competition around 14 and 15. They're up against the Eagles, and unfortunately for them, the Knights, which are currently fighting for the minor premiership position. So the Sharks, they will relish the chance to bank these 2 points. On the other side of the coin, the Raiders, they will still remain outside the top 8 on their 12 points, joined with someone who will be forced out of the top 8 by the end of this round, unfortunately, usually probably based on their for and against. They also don't really have a good run home for around 14 and 15. They're up against the Roosters and the Dolphins. So the Raiders, they're not out of the race just yet, but, well, and going to need a little bit of magic there from Riley Flynn, who passes it on to Tim James. And, well, they got 40 seconds to fix some of their for and against here because, looking at the ladder, unfortunately, the Raiders, they are not very good points differential at the moment, Dom.
And especially adding another 10 points here. It's just, it's a little bit disappointing here. They've had games where they've snatched a win and they haven't had much rushings, you know what I mean? And the for and against is really gonna hurt them big time. They need a lot of results in their way, and I think the Sharks do too. As the Sharks will take care of business. AMAC, did you see this coming? It was the betting favorite. The Sharks 1-8. They've won at 10 points. How do you feel this game went?
Yeah, as I said at the beginning of the round, I wanted the Raiders to win, mostly for my own selfish reasons. But the Sharks, they've just been on too much of a roll the last couple of weeks, and they are definitely building that momentum heading into finals. Whether or not this representative break works in their favour or starts to halt that momentum, remains to be seen. Dom, run us through some of these stats here.
Oh, gladly, as the Cronulla Sharks, they were actually winning the first half possession 55-45. So I believe Canberra won that second half possession and capitalized on some points here. The completion stats 28 out of 32. That's a 70. Ooh, I believe that's about in the 70s as a completion rate, and 23 out of 33 is not a great completion rate, if I may say so myself. As we also have a look, the errors, 12 errors, and they made 4 more errors in the second half compared to the first half, but they've also doubled the Cronulla Sharks' errors, and that's probably why they've lost by 10. If they could minimize that, even if they had about the same amount of errors, they probably could have gone on to win the game. As we also have a look here, the tackles, missed tackles, Cronulla actually made more. The meters gained were around the same, and line breaks were in favor of the Raiders here. So the Sharks actually had an 87% completion rate, whereas the Canberra Raiders only had a 70% completion rate. So that's the difference between completing a set and not completing a set. Pretty evident here in the scoreline.
As we come across to some individual Sharks stat, now winners for tonight, we start with Lachlan Sinclair. Now, he had a blinder of a first half, 114 run meters, a bit of a quiet second half there for 129, but as we were seeing earlier on, that work on the edge, he's barreled quite a few of those Raiders boys over the sideline. Even though he may have missed a couple of tackles, he is one of the reasons that the Sharks were able to win the field battle there, Tom.
Yeah, he was really pivotal. He really put his name on the map tonight, Lachlan Sinclair. He, especially going from second row to center, he don't really have much action going on, but he really, really put that center spot. He was defending well. I believe he took 2 players out in that second half as a center. And even in that second row, what 111 running meters I think he had in the first half was just insane, right? 60-minute stint, 129 running meters. 9 tackles. He missed 4. Oh, we'll forget about that. He had a tackle break as well. So pretty good stuff there from Lachlan Sinclair.
As we keep coming on down, come some interesting run meters for a couple of these boys. A lot of boys running sub 100 because, well, it was just one of those games. John Boy made up quite a few run meters there in the second half, 146. Definitely, let's try of his own. Definitely making up for that fact that he spends about half the time on the field in that one position. Matty Harris, 169. Jimmy Lopez, 159. Good kicking stats there from Jimmy Lopez, but a couple of shanks here and there. 3 try assists. He was probably the best half out on the field there tonight. And if the Sharks want to keep pushing deep into those finals in a couple of weeks' time, they're going to need Jimmy Lopez firing on all cylinders, Dom.
Yeah, Jimmy Lopez, he had a very quiet first half, Mac. And I really thought that Godwin in the first half was probably the best half, and Jimmy Lopez really accelerated in that second half. He was mainly the game, kicking a lot, 248 running, kicking. Really, again, kicking deep to the Raiders every set, and even when it was looking pretty bleak for the Sharks, he's kicked it as far as he can, and he's really pushed the Raiders back and back and back. And really, I think in the second half, he's won the majority of that game too. Also had 9 tackles, none missed as well, so pretty good stuff there from Jimmy Lopez.
As we come across to the Raiders, hard done for in a very tight finish, unfortunately. And, well, again, before the first half stats came through, there weren't a lot of boys floating in and around those 100 run meters. And, well, Mitch Barnes, 1 run meter short of that 100. He's tried his best out there tonight. And the tackling more than the running so far. But we have to come down to Lucas said off the bench at 87, 13 tackles. Irby Armworth, 138. Riley Flynn, 177. A lot of these boys, they were just shut down pretty comprehensively by the Sharks tonight, Dom.
Yeah, Riley Flynn, I expected a little bit more from him. Just someone that I thought could maybe have like a 250 running meter game. seems like a type of game that Riley Flynn could have, and it was It was defended pretty well tonight. Nathan Flynn, brother of Riley, he even had a pretty good game as well. 13 tackles, none missed. 132 run meters. I kicked 236 meters. That's pretty good stuff there. Godwin got a bad half next to him as well. I think that both halves they did their stuff. I think they just couldn't really get out of their own half, and it's just two players that really tried their best out there. Also want to shout out Navisi Barnes on the wing. He was another player that I thought had moments where he was electric. He was running really hard. He had a line break where he almost scored. He got ankle tapped, and if that ankle tap doesn't happen, they go on to score. It's just a butterfly effect, a domino effect. This game could have been 26-16 in the Raiders' way. So he really tried his best there tonight, and I also wanted to shout him out. Anyone else you want to shout out as well?
Well, I've already said his name, but Lucas said there. The Raiders, they were flagging, and without him on the field, they kind of struggled until he came back on, and it was a shame, unfortunately, that they had the ball kept away from him towards the back end after that try of his own. So looking into this representative break, Riley Flynn and his boys, they're going to need to go away and have a look and try to come back, because if they want to make the finals, they basically have to win the next two. John Boy, he can be a little bit more picky. He probably only needs to win one of the next two. That's it for us in the box tonight here at Shark Park. I've been AMAC, joined by Dom Young. Enjoy Monday Night Football to come.